Like 500 stones. Yeah,
Like
we still don't.
500 stones. Yeah.
Yeah, we still don't have any entrance music for this show.
But we
Before
have CMT inspired graphics though.
we do. Look at that. We got fancy new graphics for this show. Uh, Brooklyn, we're back. We're back after
It's new.
our first episode with one Caleb Boatman and a lot of other guests apparently.
Yes, I believe Christopher Walken made an appearance for a while.
Jerry Seinfeld, Peter
Yes,
Griffin.
Jerry Seinfeld. Oh wow, man, I missed a show.
Yeah, you were there.
I was there for part of it. I was there for part of it. The internet wanted to be my enemy
One.
and say no. Oh no.
Uh, you're back now. Don't worry about it. But we have another guest on this week. We've had him on Jukebox Playlist and a couple of other things. It's one Scott Harvey. Hey, Scott, how's it going?
Good. Happy to be here, guys. This is a fun idea. I definitely combed through this list when it first came out. So I'm glad to be back. I missed doing the jukebox things. So this is a good sort of alternative to that. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, not a problem. We are glad to have you. We haven't looked through the list, so this is going to be a surprise to us. Not at all. Not at all. So let's get this thing started. Last week we ended on Sunday Morning Coming Down by Chris Christopherson, which still I think, what's this doing here, personally? But as we move on to number 475, we got Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation. So me personally, I think this song is a banger, but I also think that this is a song that is more focused on the production than Janet Jackson herself. I don't remember the producing team, but they really are front and center in this piece. Brooklyn, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I'm not. I feel like I'm like a couple years too young for Janet Jackson. Like this song came out like 89 or whatever, and I feel like her among others are there's a lot from like that era of just like pop and dance that I didn't get into. But yeah, because I would say like my first real impression of Janet Jackson was getting scared for the music video Scream. And then I just never saw her again until like the mid 2000s when she had a bit of a comeback. But yeah, I'm sure it's a good song.
I think
Yeah.
my first was the Super Bowl, but we won't talk about that.
Yeah, I
Scott?
think that was the most for a lot of people around our age. But yeah, no, I the song's good. I will say I think it is. I think you need to watch the music video because I kind of agree with Bar's take that I think the song is good on its own, but it's more about like the whole performance of it because there are also just like long portions of the song that are like no vocals or anything. It's just kind of the beat, like you said. But in the music video, there's a lot of cool choreography and stuff going on, and I just feel like it's more of a performance like song than it is just like a song, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So
It
it's a good
does.
song. I don't know if it belongs in the list, but
So I've never seen the music video. So do you
Mhm.
think it's one of those pieces, Scott, since you're a little bit more knowledgeable about it? Do you think it's one of those pieces where it kind of has to collate? You kind of have to watch the video in order to get the full experience of this song?
I mean, you can still get some pleasure from from listening to it on its own, without the video. But like, if we're talking about 475th greatest song of all time, I think you need that full experience to, at least for me, to understand why it would be put on a list like this.
Fair enough. It's also like 5.5 minutes long,
Yeah.
which, yeah, I guess that probably is true about the whole experience thing. So, yeah, I mean, 475 is, I think, if you're going to have it on the list, I think that's a fine spot to have it.
Sure.
Any higher might be too high. All right, moving on to number 474, we got "Move On Up" by Curtis Mayfield. Yeah, I think for some people they appreciated what I did. Other people probably just threw their headphones against the wall. Scott, what do you think about this song?
So funny enough, we talked about this song. Brooklyn may not even remember this, but when we did the eight
Oh yeah,
minute
I do.
epics,
Yeah.
yeah, Zach Ford had it on his list. And there is actually a 2 minute version of the song, or 2 minute 50 second version of the song, or something, which I think is the preferable version because my opinion on it on the 8 minute epics episode is similar to my opinion now, which is just that it's a fun song, and then it just keeps going. Like the first 3 minutes are like the move on up part that you really like, and then it just kind of like repeats this very kind of similar soul riff for like 5 minutes, and it's like, okay, like get it over with. But like, the hook is iconic, bar sang. And so I think in that more compressed format, the two, like I said, the 3 minute long version, that's the version to me that is more, it's just tighter. And so I understand why that would be on the list. If we're talking the 8 minute version, probably a little too long-winded for me.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with Scott. The 8 minute ones are fun, but if you are going to that version for like the instrumentation and for like the other for the jams, there are better ones in the in that sphere. I would say this one got a ton of sampling. I remember talking on the last episode, or not last episode, on 8 minute epics, that this got used for Kanye West's "Touch the Sky." And I just feel like that's where we kind of heard this one first. And then when I was like, oh, this like funk was actually here, and like these aren't actually like original things. And I think that was really kind of the time to be like, oh, like, or not the time, but like you're starting to notice kind of the cycle of being nostalgic for a certain aspect, I think, and like during then you would see nostalgia for like the 70s and 80s, and even now you're seeing it with 90s, with 90s and 2000s. So just nice to see the cycle kind of progress.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know this was 8 minutes originally. I think I unfortunately just missed that episode. Either that or I just completely forgot it was on that list. I only know the shorter version of it, which is amazing. I'm not gonna lie. Anytime I hear those horns, it's like one of the greatest experiences in any song I've ever heard in my life. Just
And it is great, but that's what I'm saying. The 9 minute version, it's just that for like 6 more minutes. Like that's like the last 6 minutes of the song it's just those horns, and it's like,
I'm okay with
okay.
it.
And they
Nope.
do mention in the article here, they do mention the 9 minute version specifically, I guess, as being the version that they're putting on the list, I guess.
You know what? If it's 6 minutes of those horns, I'm totally okay with that. To be completely
Check it out
honest.
then.
I personally think that this song needs to be a lot higher on this list. I think that this song is an incredible piece of work. Granted, once again, only the 3 minute version I've heard, but I think this needs to be higher. Any other thoughts before we move on?
I think it is
It's fine where it is.
within its range. Yeah.
Boo, you guys suck. All right. Moving on to 473, Stand By Your Man by Tammy Wynette. Okay. Sure.
Yikes.
Like, this song's okay. I'm kind of disappointed by the country songs that we've gotten so far on this list because like I don't have that strong of an opinion on either one of them except for this one. I don't even, the production on this one's even not even that great. Like, there's just something about it that just really just doesn't click with me. It may be because I'm a man, but Scott, you had a strong reaction to this.
That song has not aged well at all. Like, it's right there in the title. Like, basically the whole song is about like, no matter what your man is doing, you need to stand by him, right? Which is not a good message to be sending. And just reading the article, like the Rolling Stone this is such a dumb way to describe it, as like the recording itself steamrolls over ideological objections. It's like, oh, it sounds good, so we're just not going to care about the fact that the stuff it's about is kind of questionable nowadays, and was even questionable like not that long after it was released. So I don't think this song has held up. I kind of agree with you, Bar, about the country songs. There's one coming up too that not good.
Oh, is there really?
But,
okay.
yeah, in just a few songs, I think. But yeah,
you can't even argue that this sounds good. Like, this is, in my opinion, the textbook definition of just a Saturday Night Hoedown song. You have that steel guitar that comes in for a little bit, that very unoriginal, boring bass line, and these
that bass line is
often very dated lyrics, and it's just, they all kind of mesh together. I feel like I've heard the song a million times, but just with different words.
Now, I need to look something up, because I need to look up who actually wrote this song, because it sounds like it was written by a man.
It says it, yeah, Billy Sherrill.
Well, there we go. There's our answer. Yeah, it kind of sounds like it.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. Like, I get the sentimentality, but like it doesn't really work, and I don't think it needs to be on this list, honestly. I think
It's
this
a
is
product
nostalgia.
of its era, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other thoughts before we move on? Cool.
You don't have to stand by your man, ladies. You don't have to.
Number 472, we got fucking hell. What the hell? Okay, hold on.
Don't you dare, Bar. Don't you dare.
No, I gotta put something up here. What the hell?
No.
Why is this here? Okay, first of all, for our
You're
listeners,
wrong.
it's Salisbury Hill by Peter Gabriel. Why the fuck is this so low?
Because it's a great song.
It is a great fucking song. Why is this only in the 470?
So low, okay. I thought you were complaining about being on the list at all. I was like, come on.
Scott, if you know me, you know that Peter Gabriel is my favorite artist of all time.
I actually didn't know that.
Yep. It's not my favorite Peter Gabriel song, but by God, this song is incredible. Just from the lyrics describing his state from when he left Genesis to when he's coming back. Production on this song is incredible. Just the layering, the space it's created. That oh my God, I forgot the term, but it's that just repeating riff of ba, 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 ba. Everything about this song just pieces together so perfectly. Peter Gabriel, it's one of those songs where he sounds incredible on here. Just the power and the lusciousness of his voice. I'm really mad that it's only this low. It doesn't have to be in the top 100. It doesn't even have to be in the top 150. But by God, what the hell? Brooklyn, stop me from going on any further because I'm going to keep going.
I love these. So I like this song for almost an entirely different reason. It's really cool from an arranged piece. Because I found out 2 months ago that this song is in 7/4, and 7/4 is it's not a super duper uncommon time signature, but it is one of the more unorthodox choices. Another popular example of this is Pink Floyd's "Money" is in 7/4, and Foo Fighters' "Times Like These" is also in 7/4. But also just the way that they use that riff. There's a video on YouTube that broke it down, but it's basically it's the choice of using a dotted eighth note as opposed to a regular eighth note, which changes the flow, the flow of that riff and gives it that sort of that shuffle or that step that it has. And then the music math that is happening in the pre-chorus, and it's hey, he said you could pack my things, I'm gonna take you home. You have to go back into 4/4 for a second, but just makes that seem so smooth, and it's really cool to observe from that perspective.
Scott, what are your thoughts? And they had better be good.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's a great song. I think it's hard not to compare this to this material from the other person who was the lead singer of Genesis, that that being Phil Collins. But I think Peter Gabriel is superior in every way to Phil Collins. But
I'm going to say
um,
this before you start. I think solo wise, Peter Gabriel was clearly the better one. I'm going to be that guy and say I actually like Genesis a little bit better with Phil Collins.
yeah, well, see how you feel later in the list. That's all I'll say. But yeah, it's a great song. It's just like I don't know. Some of Phil Collins' songs are just like there's just nothing to them for me. This song feels like it actually has like some meat to it. It's a weird phrase to use, but like the production, like you said, is like more full, and there's like some group vocal moments like later in the song too when they're on the chorus that I think, again, just give it a fuller sound that I really appreciate. So
Mm-hmm.
it's an iconic song. I think it's really good.
Yeah, especially the ending where it's just these random vocals that he does, but for some reason when you layer those in with like the horns and the ostinato, that's the term I was trying to think of earlier. It just layers and builds to this incredible crescendo, and it's I'm so mad. In Your Eyes better be higher on this list, or else if or else I'm gonna scream.
No comment.
Let it all out.
Scott, don't say things like that because you make me nervous. Number 471 is wow, okay. The House of the Rising Sun by the Animals. Brooklyn, what are your thoughts about this?
This song is good if we didn't go through the era of like junior high that I'm sure that we all did, where we all picked up guitar, or we all had a friend that picked up guitar, and we're like, "Hey, want to hear this really cool song from the '60s? It's called House of the Rising Sun." It was kind of like Wonderwall before Wonderwall.
Anyway, here's House of the Rising Sun.
Yeah, but yeah, it's really fun. I think the electric organ solo in that has a lot more power than a lot of people perceive. I think that's what kind of draws it back to me. But yeah, this is a fine song from the '60s. You could argue that it should be higher in terms of its sentimental value, but I'm fine with it being at 471.
Scott, what about you?
It belongs on the list. It's an iconic song for sure. Again, I use that word. I think it's a very good song too. I mean, it's just one of those you get tired of over time, I think, because you just become really familiar with it. But I will always associate this song. I don't know if y'all are we're big American Idol fans,
Yep.
but um, Haley Reinhart, who is probably my favorite
Yo,
contestant ever on American Idol, when
so
she
good.
sang House of the Rising Sun, it was one of the I will never forget watching that on TV because it was unbelievable. And so that's still the version of the song that I will always associate this with. So it's a strong song. It's very haunting, which I like.
First of all, I remember that because I think that
Mhm.
was the moment where I went from, oh, she's the worst on the show to, oh, she's the best on the show.
She should have won. I'm not still. I'm maybe still mad about it.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of right there with you, actually. She deserved better, and her debut album was actually really good.
It had some
Um,
good, decent songs. Yeah.
yeah, but I'm actually surprised that this is as low as it is because it is such an iconic piece. Even though I think some people would prefer the Bob Dylan version. Um,
Yeah.
but I think Eric Burden's vocals on this, they're just so bluesy and haunting that it does actually add its own kind of layer and atmosphere to it, especially when you add that like organ keyboard piece. I think it does kind of have that deep southern gothic kind of sound to it that does create its own, unique piece. But um, I'm okay with it being on the list. I think it maybe should be a little higher, but not that much. But deserves to be on the list nonetheless.
Yeah.
All right. So we are going to move on to 470, Midnight Train to Georgia by Gladys Knight and the Pips. Talk about things that should be higher on this list. This is a great piece. Gladys Knight is just so perfect on these vocals, and the Pips those little interjections, just do so much to enhance this piece. And honestly, if you can make people going woo woo on a track and not sound stupid, that's an accomplishment in itself. I'm disappointed it's this low. Anyone else?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a timeless song. It has like a timeless quality about it. That just like it feels like it's one of those songs that like it's always going to sound the same as when it was first recorded. It just has like that, sort of again timeless feel to it. I don't know how to describe it, but
smooth,
and that which is both a good thing and a bad thing. I think it's just like you can become kind of numb to its impact, I think, because it kind of is what it is. But
wow,
it's it has a lot of soul. It has a lot of soul.
Shoot me in the face, why don't you? And call it like a pat in the cheek. Like, God damn.
It has a lot of soul. Again, another one I'm not surprised to see it on the list. It probably belongs on the list, but like it's not like my favorite song or anything.
I will say on the bass line, I love the staccato of this because she's kind of presenting it as a ballad, but then you realize how much moving around that the bass is doing, and just how it doesn't rush anything. But yeah, just a really good job.
True story. Gladys Knight and the Pips, specifically the Pips. My dad, because of them, wanted to be a backup singer. So
nice.
Yeah. So okay. 469. Goodbye Earl by the Dixie Chicks. Scott, you seem to have a good reaction to this. You start us off.
Yeah, we're talking about shooting ourselves in the face. This is the one right here. This is what I was alluding to earlier with another country song on the list that is very bad. This is a song about a woman who takes revenge on her abusive husband and describes the abuse in very, grim detail. And yet it is this kind of jaunty song. I just read the word out of the article, but that is the word that comes to mind. With like this sing-along chorus, and you're supposed to just pump your fist and he had to die and it's so great. Goodbye, Earl. He had to die. Thank God he died. Like I'm like, do we understand like what we're cheering for here? Like, first of all, it's a very serious subject matter to talk about abuse in the way that this song does. Second of all, I don't know that we even if quote unquote he had it coming, I don't know if we should be just like celebrating a man's murder and the
Scott,
way that
it
they
turned
do
out he was a missing person that nobody missed at all.
Yeah. Well, I think ultimately the better version of this song is the Taylor Swift and Haim collaboration, "No Body, No Crime," which definitely has a more it still has this playful feel of this song, but like is actually more serious, I think, about the stakes. It's not as much about abuse either, so I think it has that going for it. But I don't know. I kept thinking, listening to this song, that like Nobody, No Crime did this right, and this song just gets it all wrong.
Brooklyn, what are your thoughts before I vocalize my opinions and why Scott is wrong?
I used to love this song, and then I listened to it like probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and was like, yeah, similar to Scott, it's going through the lyrics, and it's like, man, this song basically says that that women can't be abusive, and it's like, oh. It's like revenge is okay. It's just really dated. I understand why. Because like especially during during that time, it was kind of like that sort of thing. I felt was considered like kind of like taboo or hush to even talk about. So like I give props to the chicks for like kind of talking about things that nobody else really did. But seeing it now, knowing what society has gone through, not the greatest.
So I like this song personally. I don't think it's the chick's best song. I still think that's Wide Open Spaces personally.
It's a good song.
But I don't know. There's something just about the energy to the song that it does really draw me in. Like, I'm not saying that I don't understand your guys' like thoughts on it. But the way that they describe Earl as a person it does kind of make it sound like something had to happen. And I'm not just talking about in like just the relationship at all. I mean, it's like even in the town, just by the fact that that one line that I quoted earlier, they said they tipped their hat, said thanks you ladies. If you hear from him, let us know. And like how nobody in the town missed him at all. It still sounds like he's a guy that kind of had it coming.
Yeah, I'm not saying he didn't have it coming, but like I think I want the song to be a little more serious about the implications of what it's suggesting, and not just like rah rah. Let's all sing along and just celebrate what has happened here.
So what you're saying is you want the Chicks and Eminem to do Stand Part 3.
Actually,
I mean, let me put it this way: a necessary evil is still an evil.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Also, if we're talking about favorite Chick songs, their cover of Landslide has some of the best 3-part harmonies in music.
Yeah, that's really good. All right. By the way, best murder ballad of the 21st century, I still think is Two Black Cadillacs by Carrie Underwood. Moving on to Maisie Starr's Fade Into You. Anyone have thoughts on this one?
This is just kind of nothing. Like fade is the right word to be using the title, because this song just kind of fades away. Like it mentions here that it's like a quintessential dream pop song, which but I don't know, stuff that is just like overly dreamy just like has that quality to me where there's just like nothing to it. It's just like too wispy. It just like at a certain point I just like tune it out because it might as well just be like background music. That's kind of how I felt about this.
Oh, I will say, because I have heard this song before, I think this is the better version of Four Non-Blondes' Hey, What's Going On? Because that song is awful.
Oh, hold on. Whoa, wait a minute now. Let's not take crazy pills.
What is the movie trailer that just came out that has that song in it? Oh, crap, I just saw it the other day.
The Four Non-Blondes one?
Yeah, it's like some action movie, and it was a really strange choice to have the
what's it called? The 355 or something like that?
I don't think it was the 355, but I have seen that trailer.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll think of it, but yeah.
Yeah. Let us know afterwards. Let us know in the comments section if you know.
I know what it is. It's the new like Resident Evil movie that comes out in like 2 weeks
What?
that nobody even knows about, and then all of a sudden I just saw the trailer and I'm like, oh, this is a thing. And yeah, go watch the trailer. It's very bizarre that they use.
I think I'm good. Thanks anyway, Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this song, I've got nothing to say, honestly. I wonder what Zach Ford thinks of this song, because this is like Zach core, in my opinion.
Maybe. Yeah, I can see that.
If you're looking for a song similar to this from this era, Bare Naked Ladies actually does a really good song. It's called "When You Dream." It's led by Stephen Page, but it's very, very out there, and I think people would like this.
Listen, Canada boy, just because it's Bare Naked Ladies, I can't even finish that sentence. It probably means it's great. Come As You Are by Nirvana, coming in at 467. Brooklyn, what are your thoughts on this?
This is a very fun riff. One of the better grunge riffs. I think it gets lost in the mix when it comes to Nirvana songs. If this is at 467, we're probably going to be seeing a lot more. Not a lot more of them, but at least a couple more down the road. Yeah.
Have you ever perhaps read a Rolling Stone list before? Yeah, I think it's fair to say that we're going to be seeing more Nirvana because they are. Well, I'll be kind. They worship at the altar of this band, but yeah.
No, I kind of think you're right about that, Scott. But what are your thoughts on this song?
Yeah, well, I do not worship at the altar of this band. I think I have gone on record before of saying that I am not a fan of Nirvana, and that I find a lot of their songs overrated. Like I understand they're influential. Like it was a movement, it was a thing when it came out. They were the voice, but like they don't sound good to me. Like I don't like the sound of Kurt Cobain's voice. I think a lot of the music is just like noise. Like I think there's just better grunge bands of the era. With all of that being said, this is definitely one of their better songs. It has an actual melody to it. Like it's something that I can actually like. I can get into like the actual progression of the song. I feel like there's actually some musicality there and not just a lot of thrashing. So um, I like it. It's a good song. I'm not a big Nirvana guy though.
I am a big Nirvana guy. It's probably not in my top 3 favorite Nirvana songs, but it probably is absolutely in my top 10. But they only had like 3 albums, so that's kind of not hard. Um, I think Brooklyn's right though. I think the strongest part of this song is that groove, because that deep bassy groove really does create its own kind of unique sound that really does drive the song forward. And Dave Grohl's drumming on this is actually really strong. The layering is a little off though, and it's not Kurt's best vocal performance, but I still
What
think
is
it's really
Kurt's
good.
best vocal performance?
I was just kind of realizing as you guys are talking about Nirvana and like how they're kind of worshipped at the altar. That's like so if Andrew is like a diehard Catholic when it comes to Nirvana, and Scott is like an atheist when it comes to Nirvana, would I be considered like a Protestant where it's like I'm more of a fan of like an offshoot of this where it's like I respect you guys, but I'm a fan of like what your drummer did a little bit later on. It's like we still.
I think you're more of an agnostic.
That's a comparison, yeah. But yeah, for context, Rolling Stone had Kurt Cobain on like very high on its list of greatest singers of all time. Say what you want about Nirvana. If you love them, great. But Kurt Cobain is not a technically gifted singer, and I understand
No.
that fits with the songs, like that fits with their aesthetic. But like to put him that high in a greatest singers list was like crazy to me. But that's Rolling Stone for you.
The last thing that I want to say is I think there'll be 3 other Nirvana songs. The 2 that I want to see. I want to see Lithium and Heart Shaped Box. And
Heart Shaped Box. I agree.
And the one that we are going to see, which I'm not looking forward to, is Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Oh, I am predicting that to be real high considering the former list that they had released for their top 500 songs.
Yeah, where was it on the former list?
Oh, it was in like the top 10 on their former list.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not going to say anything because I know where it is on this list. But yeah.
Cheater. All right. So, number 466. Hells Yes. Luther Vandross. Never Too Much. This should be higher. This song is amazing. I love that little guitar lick that just pops up every once like that. Ding, 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 ding. Luther Vandross is just such a talented vocalist. His control on this, it's so incredible, and it's just so smooth and sticky and silky, and just it is one of the most purest expressions of just overjoyed enthusiasm about how in love he is with this person. Like that one line about him coming home from work and there she's standing, it's just such an incredible piece, and it is. I love this song. Honestly, in my top one, this would make my personal top 100. I love this song so much.
Wow.
And you guys better be careful with what you say, because I have the power of this stream.
I think this song is just fine. Scott?
All right. Thank you, Brooklyn, for being here. Scott, how about you? You want to go through Trapdoor number 2?
So, no. I mean, I think it's a good song. This is just not my genre. Like, I like songs in all genres. However, R&B ballads is very low on the list of, like, stuff that I listen to that often. So I think it is very good for a song in that particular style. but it is not. It's one of those, to use the cliche, it's one of those, I appreciate it, but I do not love it.
Scott, I've never seen anyone walk a tightrope so finely since I saw the Ringling Brothers circus.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I will say the more that I listen to the song, the more that I want to listen to Rock With You.
It does kind of have a Rock With You vibe. I think this does it better, though.
We got Caleb Coho over here.
I'm not sure if that's a compliment or an insult.
I'm not sure either, to be honest. All right. So let's move on to number 465, that being... okay. Get Lucky by Daft Punk featuring Pharrell Williams. Brooklyn, say it with me. Not even the best song on the album. Not even.
I'll say it with you too.
Yeah, it's not. No, it's not even the best song on the album. I think by that I would say Instant Crush. I think is the.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
Giorgio by Moroder.
That's another one. Touch.
I mean, like this one, it does really good looping. It comes to that guitar riff and how things sort of break down in the bridge. That's when Daft Punk, I think, just kind of has their most fun. And they throw in like their own vocals and whatnot, and then like Nile Rodgers probably had a little bit of fun with the solo, and then Pharrell is just like this nice glaze that sits over everything, and reminds everybody of like how fun and bright the song is.
Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I was really into this when it came out, as I think a lot of people were. It's still a really smooth, fun song, wears its influences pretty clearly, but, it still feels like its own thing. It's its own thing. I just think over time, it is repetitive. Like that hook it just keeps going. And again, it's another one that's like, I mean, I guess there was the radio version that was probably shorter, but like Move On Up, like the
I don't think
actual,
it was.
Maybe it wasn't, but the actual like song on the album is 5-6 minutes long. I forget exactly how long, but
yeah,
it's long, and a lot of it is just the chorus repeating itself. So
yeah, I still really like this song, but I'm knowing how it's like Daft Punk's most popular song in the public eye, at least. I'm really nervous that it's their only song on this list, which it shouldn't be. And it's very good. I think Brooklyn put it very well, where it's very well constructed, and then Pharrell's vocals just kind of are like the cherry on top of it. But it does drag a little bit, and it is very repetitive. When Daft Punk's bridge comes in, that's when it really strikes lightning. But until then, once again, as Scott said, I loved it when it first came out. I thought it was like a bolt of lightning to like popular radio. And then that one guy had to come in with another song that was kind of like this, just not as good, but still got more attention than this one. So, yeah, disappointing. Any other thoughts before we move on? No?
not really.
All right, cool. Moving on to 464. Help Me by Jovi Mitchell. Brooklyn, you had a very strong reaction to this. What are your thoughts?
I'm not too familiar with this song in particular, but this is it's Joni Mitchell, a Canadian icon, and so it's the Canadian
Goddess, I would say.
Yes, the greatest Canadian female vocalist for sure. I think there's an argument that Aretha Franklin is the best one, but yeah, Joni Mitchell's just really cool in terms when it comes to like hippie folk and like these one guitar songs. But yeah, I'll let you guys dabble on. I'm just really excited because it's Joni.
Scott?
Yeah, I really like Joni Mitchell as well. I'm not surprised to see her showing up in this list. Again, I've seen the list, but I expect that she will show up some more. I will just put it that way. This is not like my favorite song by her or anything. I almost think it's like it's almost a little too rocky for her, like rock flavored for her sound. Like I think she's more at home in like the simple folk ballads and things like that. I think that just complements her voice a little bit better. So I'm glad to see her on the list, but better things are to come when it
I'll do
comes to
you
Joni
one better, Scott. It's a little too Schoolhouse Rocky for me. It kind of does sound like something that they would do on Schoolhouse Rock. Not to say I don't like it. Not to say I don't like it. Because I still think 3 is a magic number is a bop. But
I'm just a Bill. I mean,
oh my God, Conjunction Junction.
California.
Oh my God, can we just do a top 10 Schoolhouse Rock songs? That'd be great. But I do really like this song a lot. I do. But there's just something with it that just like kind of keeps me at a distance. I appreciate her vocals. She's an incredible vocalist, but yeah, I don't think this is going to be the last time we see her on this list. So we'll talk more about Joni Mitchell. All right, and with that, we're going to move on to number 463. That is Boom Boom by John Lee Hooker. Not going to lie. I've known this song for a long time, but only for like the first couple minutes, like seconds of it. Just the whole boom, 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 boom. And for a 2.5-minute song, it is really good, but it is really repetitive. And after a while, that repetitiveness does kind of start to limp its way towards the finish line at the end. I understand its importance. I understand its importance to blues rock, but I think it's a really good song that just, even though it's short, it does kind of overstay its welcome just a little bit. Scott, what are your thoughts?
yeah, I like it. I mean, I think that repetitive it may be, but number one, because of the length, it doesn't bother me as much. Number two, because it's blues, it doesn't bother me as much because like blues songs are just they're simple songs. I mean,
That's fair.
Bo Diddley made Bo Diddley, which was just the same riff over and over again. But it's
Oh,
still
I'm
like
sure we'll talk about that.
yeah. But it's still a good song. Like that's just kind of what the blues are. I don't think it wears out its welcome for me. And John Lee Hooker has a great like deep voice, and like
Yeah, he does.
especially at the end of the song when he goes down in that baritone. It's it's fun. Just hearing him say "boom boom" is like it's fun. I like the song. It's got a good swagger about it.
Yeah, I can agree with the swagger. Brooklyn.
Yeah, in terms of like blues rock, this is pretty standard. It's unfortunate that we're getting songs like, that we're getting like ultimately very important songs like this. But we're not going to be seeing anybody like Jeff Healey on here, who I think is like this. But I mean, like also you're taking into consideration that he's blind as well. But yeah. This like the riff is very straightforward. Like it's still being used even now. If you want an example like of this style, or not this style, but like even this key being used. Black Keys does a really good song called Eagle Birds. It's like around the same time. But they go pedal to the metal for about 2.5 minutes of just really good blues rock. And it wouldn't be there without this song.
Yeah. Once again, I think I understand the importance, and I understand why it deserves a spot on this list. I think 463 is a good spot for it, though. Any gentlemen, do you think that deserves to be higher, lower?
I mean, yeah, there's going to be blues songs that are more iconic higher on the list. So, like, I get it.
Mm-hmm. I could argue that it would be lower just because of how much blues in general has come out of the mainstream.
That's fair.
John Lee Hooker, you think of is in like the second or third tier of those artists too. Like that like there are going to be a lot. The BB Kings and the Bo Diddleys and stuff like that are going to be showing.
Muddy Waters.
And we had seen what's his name, Robert Johnson.
Robert Johnson,
yeah. Like we saw him earlier, and
so he sold his soul to the devil.
Yep, sure did. But I'll tell you this much: as much as I don't condone that, got some great music out of it. All right, moving on before I dig a hole any deeper for myself. Number 462, Into the Mystic by Van Morrison. I'm going to start with this one. I love this song. It creates this really beautiful, fanciful kind of world with its lyrics, which I think Van Morrison was always really good at, kind of creating this almost fantastical, beautiful world that a lot of his songs take place with, like this and Moondance, and just like incredible imagery with his lyrics. Plus the dude's just got like that I think it's Irish. I don't want to offend any of our Scottish listeners if he's not Scottish. Good. He's got that real like thick Irish kind of rogue in his voice, which really does help enhance it. This is just one of those songs. I'm not surprised that it's on this list. I think it deserves to be on this list. It's one of those songs that's been covered a multitude of times. Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit do a great cover of this. Brooklyn, what are your thoughts?
I love this song. I think this is an incredible song. I'm not sure how to feel on it right now. My friend walked down the aisle to this. So it had a lot of
good choice.
Had a lot of sentimental value. I just think there's some really cool things happening in it. I love the horns that come in like after the chorus, like that the bass line in this is so smooth, and then just like even that little guitar movement that's happening at the start of the pre-chorus, like that do do do, and when that foghorn blows, it's a really cool. And I argue this should be a lot higher. Like this should be at least in the 300s.
Yeah, Scott.
I'm not gonna rain on y'all's parade. I'm just not that big of a Van Morrison fan.
Okay, Scott, thank you for coming. We appreciate it so much.
461.
Ho hum. That's all I have to say about this. But I'm glad you guys like it.
Wow. Brooklyn, I think we should move on before we get in a fight, right?
Yeah, we should.
All right, cool. Fight. 461, Crying by Roy Orbison. Let's start with you on this one, Scott. What are your thoughts?
Okay, now we talk about someone I am a fan of. I do really like Roy Orbison's voice. I think this is a good song because it literally sounds like he is crying when he sings. Like that, his voice has that quality about it. So I think he's the perfect person to be singing a song like this. And it breaks it, like it's even more sort of emotional towards the end of the song too. And so I think I like some of his more up-tempo songs a little bit better, but if we're talking about a ballad for him, it's a really good song, and his voice again has that wavering quality about it that I think serves it really well.
All right, Brooklyn, what are your thoughts?
I like Roy Orbison when he's fast. Roy Orbison slow is just what I don't like about old music. Andrew.
What the hell? I had never heard this song until like maybe 2 months ago. I think this song is goddamn incredible. That wall of sound production is just so overpowering, but like in a good way. Like just especially with that build. That build in this song is absolutely incredible. Scott, I think you are absolutely like 100% correct by like the color of Roy Orbison's voice is perfect for a song like this because it does sound like he's like singing through the tears. It's like, and as I said, especially when you consider that build where he's just belting his throat out, like it's incredible. I personally think that this should be kind of higher. Now, granted, maybe not higher than like 350, but I think it deserves to be higher. Anyone else thoughts on the placement of this song?
I mean, again, there's probably one or two other Roy Orbison songs that I would have higher on the list. So I'm okay with it being down here in anticipation of others being on the list.
All right. So we're going to move on to 460, Steel Pulse, Ku Klux Klan. Not an easy song to talk about, let's be honest with ourselves. It is a great reggae song, though.
Yeah, I felt really awkward after hearing this song because I just had the hook stuck in my head and you want to like sing it, but the hook is the Ku Klux Klan, like, and, and then you just get weird looks from people. So, so Steel Pulse, I'm familiar with because for you guys who have hopefully seen Do the Right Thing, the sequence in Do the Right Thing where they are playing in the fire hydrant and they spray the guy's car and everything, and it's a really fun sequence. Their song Can't Stand the Heat, or what, I can't remember what the exact title is playing in there. So that was my first exposure to them. And then it's a good song. This one it contrasts like the sort of carefree feel of reggae music with like very serious subject matter. And I really like how they're able to just like disguise again an issue song in what sounds like a catchy, typical carefree, like I said, reggae song. I think that's a cool way to reach a new audience with a particular message. So I think I definitely appreciate this being included on the list. It's a strong song.
Yeah, me too. It's a very dark song when you listen to the actual lyrics, but Steel Pulse does such a great job contrasting it with the reggae stylings of it, and it's hard to talk about, but it is incredibly good. Brooklyn.
I've never heard of this. I've never heard this song. I never even realized the song existed before, like right now. So I just looked it up, and you guys are absolutely right. I think the song should be a lot higher, or like just songs that are willing to, I guess, like genre match or like tone mash. In this extreme of a degree. I would argue this should be like in a top half of it, just for like kind of like the high risk, high reward. But yeah, a very interesting song to listen to, like from start to finish.
Yeah. Check it out if you haven't listened to it before. Very powerful, but very, very good. Especially for a song that came out in like the late 70s. Like, wow, that's actually pretty bold. So moving on to 459. Oh yes, No Ordinary Love by Sade. Brooklyn, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm gonna use pass.
Oh, what? Okay, Scott.
Yeah, if there's a pass, I would use it too. I mean, I've heard the song, like, again, Sade falls into that camp of like the R&B ballads that are just there for me. So sure, like, fine. If you like this kind of stuff, I bet you like it, and I'm happy for you.
I love it. Go ahead,
I will say, doing a quick Google search, now knowing who Sade is and what songs they sing, Smooth Operator should be on this list. Or
Smooth Operators.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it is.
It might be. Hopefully. I mean, I don't know if it is or not. But Sade, look, this woman can really sell the sensuality of a song. Like, I guess I do like R&B ballads. It's just so smooth, and the production, it's warm and inviting, and it's tantalizing. It does. Yeah, it is, Brooklyn. It is.
It's so tantalizing.
Here, let me flick the red light on. But it is a little long. It's like I think it's something like 6.
It is. It's
something
like 5.
minutes.
It's at least 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's like the one downside. It just goes on a little too long. But otherwise, I love this song. I think 4:59 is an okay slot for it. I think that maybe a little high, but my love for the song would allow it to be on here because it is very engaging, let's say. Here's what I like about songs that are kind of sexual. I like songs that are kind of imply things instead of being very forward about it. Which this song does.
I was about to say, Salt and Peppa's "Let's Talk About Sex" is going to be Andrew's number 1, but then you then you said the exact right thing to negate that.
Yeah.
Science, Brooklyn, science. So moving on to number 458, we've got "Loser" by Beck. Scott, what are your thoughts on this song?
I mean, it's a super fun song. The lyrics are absolute nonsense. Like, this song just does not make sense at all. But who among us has not just said, sung "In the time of chimpanzees, I was a monkey"? Like,
butane in my veins and my mouth that got the chunky.
What does it mean? Beck probably doesn't even know. But yeah, it is kind of one of those like countercultural songs. It feels like. And it feels like super different to a lot of Beck's other stuff, which like, I mean, to be fair, I guess he's been sort of all over the map, but like, at least in recent years, his stuff is a lot more like pristine folk, music. Like he won the Grammy for that one album. That was,
Morning Glory.
Like kind of Morning Light, I think was what it was called. But,
yeah.
But anyway, like this is he cuts loose on this song. It's fun to hear that. I would like to hear him do that more. But yeah, I mean, I understand why it's a classic '90s song. It's fun. I definitely enjoy hearing it whenever it comes on at like a party or the store or something.
That kind of a backhanded compliment at the tail end of that one, Scott.
Maybe.
I think you're right about the whole counterculturalism thing. I think that's why it's resonated so much, especially at the time when what year was this? 1993.
Yeah. It's a Gen X anthem,
Yeah, absolutely, because it kind of pushed against like everything that like the radio was doing at the time. Plus, it is very unique and it's constructed very well in its uniqueness. Even though I can't remember the name of the song for some reason, but the one where he sings 2 turntables and a microphone. I personally kind of like that one better. But this is a good one. This is a good one. Like I've definitely sung the chorus whenever it comes on. So I think this is a good.
Like he uses Spanish in the chorus. Like he's just doing whatever he wants in this song, and that's kind of cool. He's not playing by the rules.
It's an avant-garde piece. So, Brooklyn.
It is an avant-garde piece that got put into the molecular gastronomy kit when Weird Al Yankovic used this to open Alternative Polka. And I'm actually amazed that we've gone this long without mentioning Weird Al. But yeah,
I was going to say, how many times in this series is Brooklyn going to say that the Weird Al cover is better than the song that is on the list?
I think he said it last time.
I'm pretty sure I said it last time, but yeah.
Well, whenever you do get the Smells Like Teen Spirit, just know I agree with you, Brooklyn.
Thanks, Scott.
I think Kurt Cobain.
I'll be sure to mention that.
Yeah. All right. But moving on, we are going to 457, which is whoa. We're not halfway there on the list, but we are "Living on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi. "Lemon and a Pear," "Wizard at a Fair," "Dog and Cat No Hair." Look, I live in the great state of New Jersey currently, and there are 2 music artists that the great state of New Jersey loves to put on a pedestal: Bruce Springsteen and Bon Jovi. I'm not the biggest Bon Jovi fan. I think a lot of their stuff, especially their ballads, are kind of bad. This, however, there's some lightning in a bottle that they captured with this. I like the drive of it. The energy is great. The production is actually surprisingly good. And just like I think what I like most about it is like the story structure of it, how they created characters and like you kind of relate to those characters and it draws you in a lot more and it's a very universal feeling. Um, but I I'm surprised it's not higher, but I'm definitely okay with it being at this spot on the list. Brooklyn, what are your thoughts?
Being someone who has worked in the restaurant industry for 10 years and for somebody who has been a sober driver starting in the early 2010s, you would hear many a cover band and a DJ play this song. With this song is ingrained like hundreds and hundreds of drunk 30 and 40-year-olds singing this song at the top of their lungs. I was sad that you were bashing all of the Bon Jovi ballads. I think Bed of Roses should actually be on this list, but I hate this song with all of my guts. The worst song on Guitar Hero World Tour.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, I'm gonna have to look at the list to figure out
Yeah,
whether
me too,
that's true or
actually.
not. I was actually gonna say exactly what they say here in the article, that this is like their Springsteen song because of like it has that working class. We're telling the story of like these working class people. The difference is one is by Bon Jovi and one is by Bruce Springsteen, which means that Bon Jovi's is very simple, very like one note, very surface level, and Bruce Springsteen writes with like so much nuance about these same types of things. It's just like not even in the same league, really. I don't know. I just kind of
Scott,
think
this is
Bon
why
Jovi.
we're friends.
I kind of think that Bon Jovi, like a lot of their songs, like this song, like "You Give Love a Bad Name," like there's probably a few others I'm thinking, but they just all sound really similar. They're just all like shouting. It's just a lot of shouting. It's just like very in your face. It wears on me. I mean, this song is what it is. I understand it's iconic again, but I will say that there's a good movie coming out on Netflix in a few weeks called The Lost Daughter, in which Ed Harris wears a like tiny hat and dances to the song on a Greek island, and that was pretty fun. So
I was already interested in seeing that movie, and I'm 100% sold on seeing that movie.
it's good. It's a very good movie.
I have disappointed our audio listeners. I was about to show Scott and Andrew the genius songwriting that is in the chorus of "Born in the USA," and it was really just going to be "Born in the USA" written like 10 or 11 times or however many times he just says that in the chorus.
Okay, sure, yeah. Let's pick one
Canada
song.
Boy.
Let's single out one song.
Yeah.
For a guy who's made like over 20 something albums.
Hey,
right.
I'm on Fire is a good song, and Dancing in the Dark is also like I'm growing on that song.
I mean, yeah, they're not the only ones, but yeah.
Exactly. Moving on before the fireworks start. Number 4. Oh my God. Okay. Number 456. Summertime Sadness by Lana Del Rey. Brooklyn, why don't you start us off with this one?
My dad went through a midlife crisis with this song. I remember I had talked to him for the first time after college, and he was like, "Man, you ever hear this song? It's really good." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is good." And then the radio killed it.
Well, the radio killed it with the crappy remix.
Yeah.
Yup.
This version is much better, but it's far, far away from being the best Lana Del Rey song. I really like Lana Del Rey a lot. But like Video Games is absolutely the song that deserves to be on this list. Like it's not even my favorite one of her songs, but it is like it was a moment. That song was a moment. It's a beautiful song. It has great imagery. When that came out, that was like a big deal. That song was. And so that would be the one that I would have put on the list. I think this is kind of the boring, safe choice because it was on the radio. At least they picked this version and not the remix again. But like
right.
Video Games, West Coast, a bunch of songs from her, Norman F. Rockwell album, and the one
West
before
Coast
that, Lust for Life.
was the,
A lot of songs in there that are good.
Yeah, West Coast was the one that you had on YLS Summer Songs. Right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Cause
That's from her
that's something
second album.
that I throw on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't get into Lana Del Rey. This is probably the closest one that I can get into because that build is really good, especially the drums. I think the drums on this song are actually really fantastic. I can't do
And
the doughy-eyed smoking nightclub lounge like mask that she wears.
And again, it just feels like a very watered down version of Lana Del Rey's aesthetic. Like even the title, "Summertime Sadness." Like if you had to sum up Lana Del Rey's music in 2 words, just how you would describe her music, you would probably say that it is summertime sadness music. So the fact that she literally has a song that's called that, it just feels a little on the nose. Like I think a lot of her other music is more nuanced in the way that it goes about conveying summertime sadness.
Yeah. Fair enough, I guess. Sort of, sure. Moving on to number 455. Hell yeah. White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane. This song slaps. It's kind of incredible for a song with no chorus. It's like maybe 2 minutes. Like it's kind of like a parallel of Drugs and Alice in Wonderland, which, shocker, never been done before. But Grace Slick on this is so good at delivering these lyrics and just that bass line. That bass line is incredible. That doon 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 doon. It everything about this just meshes and melds together so well to create this incredibly dark, sinister yet bombastic piece that could have only worked in the 60s, let's be honest. And I'm also just kind of tickled pink at the thought of parents not understanding the parallel
Thinking it's
in the
about
lyrics.
children's literature.
Yeah, exactly. They think, oh, what a great song about Alice in Wonderland. That's my favorite book as a kid. Scott, what are your thoughts on this?
White Rabbit is a top 100 song of all time. This song is
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. This is my favorite song on this range of the list. I'll just go ahead and say that. The songs that we'll be talking about, this is my favorite one. I think in general, Jefferson Airplane is criminally underrated. This album,
Surrealistic
oh
Pillow?
gosh, yeah, why I blanked on the top for a second. Surrealistic Pillow. One of my absolute favorite 60s albums, just like one of my favorite classic rock albums in general. Like probably the best psychedelic rock album like that I could think of. Like it is just so like it is a fever dream, like you said. Like it doesn't play by the rules. It doesn't have a traditional song structure. It just keeps growing in intensity. And yeah, Grace Slick, amazing voice, like so powerful. And like does not get enough credit as being one of the great rock vocalists. And like I said, it just keeps building in that intensity, like closing in on you until that very end when it just rises to like the fever pitch and then it just like fades out. You're just kind of like left wild and dizzy at the end of it, like what just happened, which is exactly the effect that they want because it's like taking drugs. Not that I've ever done that, but it's like taking drugs.
Sure, Scott.
Phenomenal song, should be in the top 100.
And Brooklyn.
Did you guys hit sort of the things that I wanted to talk about like suspension and the bass notes. I argue that the song kind of does have a chorus, and it's kind of why it does work because you're creating so much suspension with the bass notes. Like you're going from F sharp to G, and the song wants to resolve so much. And then you get to that last line of the song, you're like remember, and she says that last line, and you get this nice big sort of like A chord from the rest of the band. But I like just how each sort of thing kind of represents an aspect of the theme of it or whatever. Like the drums are very sort of like march forward, and you kind of get like the royalty of it or whatever. And then, like again, we're talking about like the suspension and the bass line. That's kind of like the anxiety of the White Rabbit, and then the vocal qualities in the song are just like all the crazy sort of loopiness that you get from Wonderland.
Yeah.
It's like a drug trip. Again, it keeps building to that high, and then it gets to the high, and it just falls out, right? Like it just ends.
Right from underneath you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here are my last thoughts about it being at 455 on the list.
Yes.
What the hell?
I would have to agree.
What the hell, man?
Yeah, what the hell, dude? All right, moving on to 454. We're almost there, folks. 454, Bomb Bomb by Sister Nancy. I like this song a lot, actually. This song has grown on me exponentially through the years. When I first heard it, I thought it was trash. But then I kind of really got into the groove that it presents to you. And Sister Nancy's voice has the way it's recorded in the mix. There's something that's just really unique and interesting about the vocal timbre that she has. I think it's really good. I think that this is a really good spot for it. Brooklyn, what are your thoughts?
It's interesting. I've never really like heard it before, being able to put the name to the song. But it is, it's interesting. The words that I'm trying to say are, I like how it explores the genre of reggae and how it kind of pushes what we think is like kind of the norm of it. But yeah.
And Scott?
Yep, it's a nice, fun reggae song. Doesn't leave a super lasting impact with me. But I will say it was nice to hear the context behind this song being because the song is sampled in Kanye West's Famous. So it was nice to hear the context of the full song, because I have feelings about that Kanye song. It's the one. It's the one that involves another artist that I happen to be a fan of. So I have feelings about it for that reason. But this was cool. I enjoyed, like I said, getting the context for that.
Yeah. It's a good fun time. It's not like a super detailed or like crazy instrumental song, but it's really fun while you have it on for the time being. Moving on to 453, The Rain, Super Duper Fly by Missy Elliott. I can't stand the rain. Scott, what are your thoughts on this?
A little bit more my speed when it comes to R&B. It's it's got a little more tempo to it. It's got a little more of a groove that I can get into. So I like the song, but there are better Missy Elliott songs, and I would expect to see one or two of those on the list.
Yeah. Knowing you, I would probably agree. You're a smart person when it comes to music. Brooklyn.
I believe when I first joined this community, like I think it's almost 5 years ago now, we did a like I guess would have been considered like an old or like what would be considered playlist then on top 10 rappers, and I argued that Missy Elliott should be in the top 10 rappers of all time. Not necessarily for this song, but for just how weird she is and how well she was able to kind of sell that weirdness.
I think that's the main thing about Missy Elliott that I like a lot. Is just that unique kind of like, I don't want to call it avant-garde, but it's kind of out of left field kind of style that she has, especially when you pair her with Timbaland. Like the two of them are like a great pairing. This might be my favorite Missy Elliott song actually, because I love the way that it's just the way that she's able to ride this groove. It's so it's like so controlled, but it's so rich.
Do not make me put my thing down, flip it, and reverse it. Thank you very much.
But I think my favorite thing about this song is the moment where I don't remember exactly what the line leading up to it is, but it's just when she goes, vroom. There's just something about that moment that I really love so much. I think the song is amazing. It's my personal favorite Missy Elliott song. I wouldn't be surprised if she shows up more on the list, though. Moving on to 452, a classic, legendary piece of music, Toto by Africa. Scott had a very strong reaction to this. Let's start with you.
Oh, look, I love some yacht rock. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah!
This is one of the quintessential yacht rock songs. Is it objectively a great song? Is it objectively the 452nd best song of all time? Probably not. No.
No, probably higher. I agree.
Am I completely fine with it being on the list at 452? Yes, because this song is just freaking, I'll use the word one more time for the road, iconic. Um, even though the lyrics make no sense to the song, if you have ever, there's a podcast that Demi Adejuyigbe used to host called Punch Up the Jam, where they take songs, they like break down the lyrics, and then they make like a comedic punch up of the song in the end. He doesn't host it anymore, unfortunately. But go back and listen to the episode they did on Africa, where they actually parse out the lyrics for Africa. The song, or the lyric from the second verse, that's like, whatever as Kilimanjaro rises high above the Serengeti, like, it's just like they fit so many words into this one. Like, I don't know how they do it, and it still sounds good, and they still pull it off, but they do. Rosanna might have been the better choice for the list, but like, come on, it's Africa. It's a freaking iconic, amazing song. It's just a ton of fun. So no, I mean, respect for putting it on the list.
All right, Brooklyn.
I beat you all. Yeah, I agree. Rosanna needs to be on there. Three things helped this song. The first thing was Vine. The second thing was Weezer, and the third thing was once again Weird Al, but that wasn't the actual thing.
You didn't bring up the Weezer one.
No, the Weezer cover is good. Also,
no, it's not.
It is. It's a great one.
It sounds like a garbage mess of a production.
Yeah. If this obviously became a meme, and I think if you want to listen to it in its greatest form in that sense, Brock Baker does a really good job of this. He does like not a million, but does a lot of impressions on this, and it's just kind of like that's the version that I tend to go back to. If we are using the iconic argument, though, for this song, I think there are more evolved forms of the style. If you're gonna put this song on here, then I would argue that We Built the City on Rock and Roll should be on here, and I think that song is garbage.
But you would rewrite.
If you want this style of song with the sort of 80s iconic nostalgia of it, I argue that you should put on Dire Straits' Money for Nothing, because you're accomplishing the same things. But you have Sting there for the cheesiness of it, and then you have that very catchy riff and the music video itself. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see Money for Nothing later.
I wouldn't. Dire Straits definitely belongs on the list somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere at least. I really like this song a lot. I will say the one thing that pushes this song over the edge is that marimba. That marimba in this song is so good. Just it's it just adds such a very unique element to this song that does kind of give it the proper sound for a setting that it's going for, even if geographically speaking it's not correct. But yeah, no, this song is great. I have got no qualms with it being on the list. The Weezer version's not that great. Number 451 and the final song of the night is Brooklyn. Give me a drum roll, please. Oh, well, that's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it's extremely disappointing.
Bad and Bougie.
Bad and Bougie. Bad and Bougie by Migos featuring Lil Uzi Vert. Brooklyn, what are your thoughts?
So I had a gentleman by the name of Matt Dingwall who used to live with me, and he played the song at work once a day. So this song is just ingrained with all the bad memories of a place I used to work at. I just think mumble rap is complete and utter trash.
I don't like. Okay, so I don't hate this song. I get the appeal, but it's way too long. It is unnecessarily long for such a bleak instrumental. I don't hate Migos. I used to, but like they've proven themselves to me as to why they, belong. Stir Fry is a banger of a song. I will stand by that. That song is awesome. But this one, it's just there are some lines in this song that just kind of confuse me, like the one about boobies.
Well, you see, Bar, when a man and a woman love each other very much.
And look, Lil Uzi Vert is from around my hometown. He's a Philadelphia guy, but I just can't get into Lil Uzi Vert, and he does not help himself on this song.
Rumor has it that he does what he wants.
Oh, I hate you.
Yeah. It's crazy that we're sitting here, we're talking about the 500 greatest songs of all time, and we're like, what Migos songs belong on the list? No Migos songs belong on the list. We're talking about the 500 greatest songs of all time. Sure, if you saw off my arm, Stir Fry is definitely the better song. Pure Water is definitely a better song. The production of those songs is just better. Like, I don't find the production of this song super interesting. The only reason that this song is on the list is because like it had the hook that was like a big deal for like, a few months and got played at like sporting events, and everybody knows Raindrop, Drop Top. Like everybody knows that, but like other than that, the song is completely forgettable.
I have
cooking up pork in my crock pot.
And no, it's so long getting those songs out of my head.
And I think with that, we have tortured Brooklyn long enough. We did it, Scott. So with that being said, I have one question that I want to ask our panelist, and it is if you could pick one of the songs that we talked about today, and push it higher on the list. You can only pick one, and let's say you had the opportunity to push it into the top 100. Is there a song that you would do that for, and what would that song be?
I think I've already showed my cards on this. It's definitely White Rabbit. I mean, that song is perfect. And deserves to be in the top 100. Like I said, I kind of said my piece on it, but that's definitely the one for me. There are some other good, really good songs on the list, but I didn't feel like super aggravated by the placement of anything except seeing White Rabbit this low.
That's surreal. Brooklyn.
I would say the same thing as Scott. I've kind of played my hand earlier on this. Into the Mystic, I think it needs to be in the top 100. And I know it's kind of a colder take, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I hate the fact that I set this rule for myself. But since I can only pick one of these songs to push into the top 100, as much as I want to say Salisbury Hill because that is a masterpiece, I will also pick White Rabbit because I think White Rabbit is kind of just the better song by like a fraction of an inch. But with that, I want to thank Scott Harvey for joining us. Scott, thank you so much.
It was fun. Thank you.
I know that you have another podcast that you do. Would you like to plug that real quick?
Yeah, it's called Some Like It, Scott. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, all the places you find podcasts. We're on every week. We're talking about whatever the new movie release is. Our last episode was a special Halloween episode for Halloween Kills. I don't know when people are going to hear this, but we got Last Night in Soho coming out in the next couple of days. Eternals, all that jazz in the coming weeks. Y'all know what movies are coming out. We'll be talking about them. But
they made a remake of All That Jazz?
Yeah. I see what you did there. I mean, everything else has been remade at this point. Why not? But yeah, Some Like It, Scott. Check it
out. Brooklyn, I think we had a great episode today. We may not have had the list of guests that we had the last time, but I think that we did it.
No,
you don't want me to do any impressions, trust me.
But we did have somebody who has been, I think, has the record for most appearances on the Final Mound show, or like
Without a win?
as a contestant. Well, I mean, I don't want to spoil the last match. You know, that isn't fair to anybody who hasn't caught it on YouTube yet. So
yeah, it's been rough. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
I'm seriously
All right.
contemplating what my future in miscellaneous for next season.
All right. But with that being said, for Scott Harvey, for Brooklyn's Vale, I am Andrew James Barr. Thank you for listening, and keep on rolling.
Drive safely. Crash and burn. Die. Die, motherfucker. Die, motherfucker. Die.
Barr just did.
I hit the wrong button, damn it.
The recording.
Oh, no, that's loud.
Bye, guys.